Helps if you turn it on. All right, good evening, everybody. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Paul Llanez. I'm the mayor of Los Banos, and so I'm glad that you're here with me tonight. I don't know when the last time the city did a town hall forum or if any previous mayors have done it recently, and I'll be honest, I don't really care. I'm going to focus on what I can address during my time. And so one of the big things for me, a big key component for me is communication. And so I really want to emphasize that. And so we're here to communicate tonight. But, and it is, I'll be honest with you, frustrating at city council meetings when I'm the guy that holds the clock for 5 minutes and you get to come up to the podium and say whatever it is you want to say and we can't respond to, at least I can't, especially non-agenda items and things like that. So before we get started, I'll kind of give you just a few rules, I guess, so to speak. Tonight's agenda is strictly about the homeless. People have come here with specific conversations they want to have about the homeless, and so that's all I'm going to talk about tonight. I'm not going to talk about anything else regarding the animal shelters or streets or any of that, and if we want to do another one of these, if you want me to do another one of these and talk about anything, I'm happy to. But tonight, the agenda is going to be about the homeless, so I just ask that you please keep the questions and the dialogue about the homeless. I'm going to start by kind of just giving you some information of what I know and a little bit about my background regarding dealing with homeless crisis. Okay, so for those that don't know, I've been in law enforcement for 20 years. I started as a police officer, little towny town next door called Dos Palace. I worked there for a few months, and then I was fortunate enough to get hired here at the city of Los Banos. I was a police officer here in Los Banos for only 20 months, and then at the time, Commander Breezy, back there at the time, thought that I was good enough and promoted me to go into investigations, and I was assigned to the Narcotics Task Force at Castle Air Force Base. And I did that for a little over 4 years that I did that, and I was really fortunate I have a lot of experience with that. With that being said, I have bought guns and drugs off homeless people. I've arrested probably more than 1,000 people in my career, and a lot of it's related to street crimes. And so I'm very familiar with the dynamics of street crimes and how that works. During the pandemic, I took a kind of a part-time hiatus job, and I was selected to be the chief of public safety for the Peralta Community College District in the Bay Area. For those that don't know where that is, I had a college called Laney. Some of you may have seen it on Last Chance U on Netflix. It is in inner city Oakland. I was also in charge of the College of Alameda, which is where Raiders headquarters used to be. I had Merritt College, which is Oakland Hills. And then I had Berkeley City College, which was in downtown Berkeley. And my job had to deal with public safety and managing a 90-person patrol staff and dispatch there. And that's what I did for about 9 months to a year. And during that time, in the vicinity and the jurisdiction which I worked, I had 148 shootings that took place in my jurisdiction. And I also had numerous calls for service regarding the homeless. And so I think I have a little bit of knowledge when it comes to kind of the homeless crisis. So I'm going to give you what I have kind of taken on as mayor, and what I want to do is I want to kind of give you where we're at, why we're in where we're in, and I'm going to strictly give you factual stuff. I don't care about my policies or my politics. I'm not asking for any votes tonight. And then I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you because, again, I'm going to be honest, this isn't just a Los Banos problem. In fact, I challenge you to go to another city in California and with 40,000 plus people and not find a homeless encampment. If you do, let me know, because I will go meet their city manager and mayor tomorrow. And then kind of, again, just have an open dialogue, answer questions and things like that. So the first thing I want to talk about is something called the Boise case, Martin versus Boise. This is a federal case in 2009. A group of homeless individuals sued Boise, Idaho, because they were being arrested and constantly contacted by law enforcement for sleeping outside, for camping on city parks, for camping in places. And they kept getting arrested and they kept getting issued citations, and they sued. And this went all the way up to the Ninth Circuit. And the Ninth Circuit said, hey, listen, cities, you can't do that. You cannot make homelessness a crime, okay? Unless you're gonna implement no camping laws, right? Or change your municipal code. And the only way that you can change your municipal code and change that so that you can make that a crime is by providing more resources than you have people. So for instance, if we had 100 homeless people living in the city of Los Banos, I have to have 101 beds under a roof to provide for them before I can make camping or encampments against the law, okay? And these are just factual things. Cities have gone around this. It's happened. They've gotten sued. They've lost millions and millions of dollars over this. And so that's one of the huge challenges that we face. And I knew that coming into this position, that was going to be a big challenge for us. Another thing was the possibility of having a navigation center or an evacuation center or a shelter, right? Because that makes sense. So have a shelter, build the shelter, put 102 beds in it, right? Well, then comes the logistics behind it. The state of California has said, listen, our priorities with funding, particularly for the homeless, are permanent housing. We don't want to see cities build shelters or navigation centers because the grant funding that's available right now it's basically dedicated to permanent housing. We want people housed permanently, okay? And so that's another challenge that we face. If we did spend money out of whatever budget and we did build a shelter, how are we going to continue to fund it, right? Who's going to run it? Who's going to keep the lights on? Who's going to make sure it has water? Things like that. We don't have basically a budget or funds created for that type of liability right now, okay? So again, these are some of the other challenges that we face. Another thing is with the encampments, and I'm not phoning a friend, I just have notes on my phone. So. One of the things with the encampments that we've come across, and again, statewide, is telling people they gotta move, right? Encouraging people to move. Hey, we've let you go here, now you can't go here, okay? And you guys saw it when the city decided to and council voted to shut down the homeless encampment behind the trailer park there. There are still people there, okay? We still don't have any criminal jurisdiction to move them. Okay, we can encourage them to move, we can ask them to move, but at the end of the day, if one of these people say, look, I'm not going anywhere, do you have 101 beds, right? That's the challenge that we face, and that's just the honest reality of the thing. Another challenge, again, is something called the Safe Schools and Neighborhoods Act. This was passed in 2016 by the voters of the state of California, and what this said is that criminal prosecution, particularly with possession of controlled substances, possession of meth, cocaine, heroin, things like that, became misdemeanors. But prior to that, they were felonies, and we used to have something called Proposition 36, also known as drug court. So if I arrested an individual with meth in his pocket or her pocket, they went to court, the courts could say, we are ordering you to take drug court to seek treatment and then to come back and give a progress report to the court. If you don't do that, there will be criminal consequences for you. And we did see, particularly in Merced County, a very high success rate of Proposition 36. I talked to numerous people that I had arrested that contacted me later on and said, hey, drug court was the best thing that ever happened to me. It forced me in a position where I had to make a decision, right? Now again, it doesn't mean everybody did that. But because of the Safe Schools and Neighborhoods Act, which in my opinion is a little misleading when you say it out loud, those crimes are now misdemeanors, and those people are not held to drug court. Drug court does not exist. So district attorneys and probation departments now, when we have a person in crisis or under the influence or things like that, the consequences in California are not there. And that's just the honest reality. It also made crimes like burglary, possession of stolen property, it made them misdemeanors as well, okay? And that's just a thing that we want people to understand. When our police department gets a call for service, they're bound by the law, okay? They can't say, hey, that guy's smoking meth, he just broke in my car, take him to jail. They are bound by the law, which may mean a citation, because that's what the voters of California have voted on. So again, that's something way beyond my jurisdiction range, right? That's here in the state. So now that I've given you the bad news, right? I'm not all doom and gloom. I just want to tell you that. I'm not all doom and gloom. And again, I think that every problem has a solution. I really believe that. We just have to be creative in how we address the issue. But I'm a firm believer that if we're going to want people to be productive members of our society, there has to be consequences. There has to be that fork in the road where they make the decision for themselves. Okay. Again, I'm a firm believer of that. What I am going to give you is some information on our city as it sits right now. We currently have statistically 78 unsheltered individuals in the city of Los Banos. Of that, we have now sheltered 35 of them in the city. 6 people have been housed permanently, 2 in Atwater, 2 in Merced, 2 in Los Banos. 3 people have been reunited with family, 1 in Oklahoma, Sacramento, and 1 in Florida. We have now implemented the use of a bridge home, which is an emergency shelter. The occupancy rate prior to this year was 50%, which means our bridge home were only filled with 50%. They're now at maximum capacity. So our bridge homes are now at 100% at present day. Of the approximately 50 to 75 unhoused community members, approximately 50 to 75 unhoused community members are visited by our housing division each week. The council has voted to create 2 new staff positions to work dedicated on the homeless resources, right? And the way that I kind of translate that is the people that want help, we're going to give them help. If you want help, if you want resources, if you want to change, things, that's what these positions are really created for. Is everyone going to take that help? Absolutely not, and that's just the honest reality of it. However, this division contacts 50 to 75 unhoused people a week. We have weekly encampment cleanups occurring through a collaborative effort with code enforcement and public works. Sergeant Mendez is there in the back. I wouldn't want his job for anything. Sergeant Mendez does a great job. Again, the calls for service that come in regarding the homeless, regarding the encampments, regarding the trash, he does a great job with that as well. Approximately 7 city employees are now devoted to this each week. So we have 7 city staff that basically just go around and clean up the homeless encampments. The city, as of today, submitted their Project Home Key grant application, and I'm going to tell you what that is. Project Home Key is a $15 million grant, and again, it falls under the guidelines of the state for permanent housing, is to purchase a hotel in the city and renovate it and turn it into housing for the unsheltered. So that was submitted. It's the creation of 60 units of permanent supportive housing with case management services through the rehabilitation of the La Plaza Inn. And so what that means is we're not just gonna build a place, give people keys and say, here you go. There's gonna be case management. There's gonna be supervision. And so again, that's a big concern for me because I'll be honest, if you were to take a group of homeless individuals under the influence of controlled substances and I said, hey, here's a brand new house, do you think it would look like a brand new house in a week? Yeah, it might not. So I'm glad to hear that as part of the grant application that there will be case management. The city is also working with Habitat for Humanity to begin the project of rehabilitation in a home in the city of Los Banos, and the Community Action Agency to provide 2 CalAIM providers dedicated to the city of Los Banos to perform case management for unhoused for the next 60 days. So what that means is if somebody's on our streets and needs help and needs resources, there's no excuse why they're not going to come to us to get it. Now we have to do the job of communicating that. We have to reach out to them, and I know our team is already doing that. So from April to, actually let me back up a little bit. Also, what has occurred is 2 new city staff positions that were created have been filled. One was filled in April, and one was filled as recently in June to help with the homeless program as well. Now, by putting this stuff in place, it's not going to change anything overnight, and that's just the reality of it, right? The Project Home Key project, if we're successful in getting the grant, and I was super happy to hear that our city manager today had a discussion with Senator Ana Caballero's team who came down to tour Los Banos today, and the discussion was about this project and the grant. These are the things that we need to keep doing to advocate and fight for Los Banos, so hopefully we can get this grant and move forward. From April to June of 2023, total businesses calls for service involving transients were 110, and the total calls for service regarding transients were 376. We also had a number of thefts reported to local businesses, 97. And so we are absolutely in a crisis, in my opinion, and there's something that we need to do with it. And so again, not all doom and gloom, good, bad, or ugly. I'm just here to tell you the truth, one way or another. It's not something that is going to go away 100%. So if you want me to stand up here and lie to you and tell you, hey, in 2 years we're going to have 0 homeless people, that's not what I'm here to tell you tonight. But what I am wanting to do is tell you that we are focused, There's a plan in place. It's starting with this grant to build these 60 units to do that, and the case management that goes along with it, and the fact that we now have a dedicated team of employees that are there for, again, the people that want the help, they can reach out and get the help that they need, and that's our focus. After that, the next phase turns into what can we do consequence-wise? And I'm going to share with you some of the contributing factors that I've learned from other cities. When people visit homeless encampments and bring them tents and blankets and supplies, you're adding to the problem. And again, there are statistics that I can base this. I know everybody in the good of their heart, right, help their fellow man, and I'm 100% with you. But the reality is we cannot create consequences, right? I can't teach a man to fish if I bring fish to his house every day, right? And so these are one of the things that we see. And I know we have church groups, they do an amazing job in their outreach, and I appreciate everything they're doing. But we have to understand that there are certain things that we're doing that is compounding the problem. We've also heard, I sit on the Merced County Association of Governments Board, and so I get to communicate with other mayors and some of the discussions we've had. And one of the fears that I've had is, hey, if we provide the resources, if we're providing meals, if we're providing housing, or providing this, are we then going to add to our homeless population, right? Are we taking the resources we have, and are we, if you build it, they will come, right? Because that's what I don't want to do, right? I want to kind of create a line in the sand of, hey, here is Los Banos. We're here to help those that want help. But for everybody else, if you're here to commit crimes, if you're here to live on our streets, if you're here to make poor decisions, this is not the place you want to be. And I really want to send that message. And so we have to kind of strategize what that looks like. So, with that being said, I don't want to hear me talk the whole time. I'm going to open up to a first round of questions. First round of questions. And there are a lot of people here, so there should be a lot of questions. I hope. Questions? Yes? And I'm just going to walk over with the mic, if that's all right.
And it'll make it loud? Okay.
Sure.
My question is that if you have 75, you build housing for 76, and 20 more come in the next month, am I stuck to not being able to change an ordinance to not have outdoor camping?
So, according to the Boise law, how that works is cities are required to take statistics annually, okay? And so that's why they do a count. They do a homeless count and say, hey, what is our number this year? What is our number? And it doesn't mean that, again, if we were to get to a position where we had enough beds and we changed the municipal code, I would not recommend, and our city attorney may have other ideas, I would not recommend we do it at 76, right? I would recommend we give ourselves some form of buffer as to not have the same problem the following year. Right? Does that answer your question? How long does it take to build a place and put 70-some beds in it, right? Well, we can't put one in front of the other. See what I'm saying? So we have to, the Project Home Key, go through the grant process, right? We applied for the grant today. Go through that process. We've already, and council voted for the RFP of it, right? So we know, okay, what the goal is. That process has to completely finish before we can then move on to the next phase. And again, with the number of homeless that we have, we will have to come up with something to supplement it, because 76 homeless and 60 beds isn't going to match. So we're going to have to come up with something else. And so that will be also another discussion for city staff and for eventually council to vote on. Question? Oh, okay. I'm gonna just keep going this way. Oh, hang on, I'm gonna get him first. Yes, sir.
You mentioned the Boise case, how Idaho was sued by the homelessness. The Boise case states what? Does it prevent city government, states, or what from arresting homeless people?
Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal, which means it's federal.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, just about a month or two ago, San Diego City Council and downtown business districts legally passed a law to remove homeless encampments that were saturating downtown businesses. So why did the Boise case not prevent them from executing the law?
Well, what is the number of beds in San Diego? Because that's going to answer your question.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, they can't do it unless the number of resources exceeds the number of documented
So if they
homeless.
met that number, then they can tell these guys to get out.
Correct. And I'll give you an example, the city of Brea, Orange County, the city of Brea, they actually have signs that say, if you set up your encampment here on city property, we will take your property. We will remove your items. Because their position and their navigation centers and homeless centers well exceed the number of homeless. So they can justify that.
Does the Boise case specifically say a number like 100?
It's how many homeless you have in your community, how many homeless beds do you have in your community?
City can provide.
Correct.
Okay, so if the city of San Diego met that number, then it allowed them to execute this law?
It holds them from having the liability.
Because they physically removed them and said, you guys gotta get out now.
And some cities have. I'll tell you, the city of Fresno just received like $250 million to do downtown improvements and things like that, and I know that's part of the plan. That's part of the plan as well.
The numbers are different for every...
Every city's gonna have a different number of homeless. Yes. Yes. Start back up here, sir.
Oh, no problem. My question was about the home key application. It's been submitted, and if so, when would you find out if you get approved?
That's a good question. Do you know that one, Mr. City Manager, what the timeline is? Okay.
The only reason why I bring it up is we've gotten proposals from other cities right now with their application. I'm just wondering how each city picks one home key application to move forward with, because I know there's multiple. So how's that going to work? Do you know?
I don't know how the state allocates the funds.
Okay.
I have no idea how they do
So
that.
for Los Banos, will it just be one applicant that moves forward, or is there multiple?
We submitted one application.
application,
Correct.
okay.
Yes, we submitted
Got it.
one application. Yes.
My question is, if the, hi, the question is, the homeless you can't remove them from city property, correct?
Correct. Yes.
You can rehome them if they say they parked for themselves right out here. You could suggest they go somewhere else.
Correct. And I'll just give you an example. Behind the trailer park, we closed that encampment. There are still people at that encampment.
No, there's not.
There is. I went over there yesterday. Yes.
They're not behind the
Yes.
mobile home, are they?
They're still on city
But-
property though.
But they're
Yes.
down further by the water tower and on the other side where.
The wall and the mound.
Wall, but
Yes.
in the middle, because I patrol that area.
Right.
from
But they're
my-
still in the area. Yes.
They're
Yeah.
still in the area, but
And they're still on
not-
city property.
But they're
Yes.
not behind us. Okay.
Yes.
So, let's be clear, they're not
Yes.
behind us, but my question.
But if one of them went back there with his tent,
Okay, well, I will have to go
Yes.
back there and then complain.
yes. But what I'm telling you is, and again,
Yes.
I'm not here to debate things.
Okay,
I'm
I'm not.
telling you what we're restricted by.
Okay,
Okay.
right, but my question is that the city can't make them move,
Mm-hmm.
but private property can, correct? Private property.
So if you have a person that comes onto your property and you're willing to sign a citizen's arrest form and have them cited for trespassing,
Yes.
the local law enforcement will come out and cite them for trespassing, yes.
So, private property like Walmart, food, not where Food for Less, but further down, why are they allowing them to sit there?
Why are private property owners
Yeah.
allowed? You'd have to ask the private property owner, I
Because,
don't know.
I mean, I would think that we should encourage them to
Mm-hmm.
have them removed, because they destroy their property,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I wanted to know. Why are they still allowed to be on private?
Yeah, and again, that would be a question for the private property owner, right?
Okay.
And again, and I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. If I sit on your lawn and you go, I don't want you on my lawn, and I just sit there and Los Banos PD shows up, they're gonna write me a ticket
Right.
and tell me to get off your lawn. I'm not gonna go spend like a year in prison. I'm not gonna,
Right.
and that's just unfortunately, that's just kind of
I will
the,
say that I have asked people to leave our mobile home park, and I was told we had to have a no trespassing sign. We had to go
Mm-hmm.
jump through hoops, so,
well, it's not hoops, they're just laws,
well, I know.
right? I mean, they're just laws, so, yes.
But you make it hard for individuals.
And again, I want people to understand, the city of Los Banos did not write any of these laws. I just want to be clear about that. Okay. I know there was a couple back here. Yes.
Can you say that again? So if they enter your property, your yard, what is the process? What is the process? Because we were not told.
Okay.
And most people don't even know.
Okay.
But I know, I have neighbors where they have trespassed.
Okay.
They have gone into their yards. So what is the process?
So I will give you something to Google, California Penal Code Section 602. And that will tell you everything you need to know about trespass laws.
Section what?
602. Am I right on that, Ray? Am I?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
what does the city have as far as resources for restrooms and showers and something, while we're waiting for the 60 beds, we've got people walking the streets, they can't all go to McDonald's, they can't all go into the restrooms, restaurants and the food stores. What is the structure, what's the infrastructure?
So the individual resources would be something that if you contact City Hall with our homeless positions, they can give you the full list of what that looks like. And I know it's partnerships with a lot of things. So like the churches, I do know that there's like shower scheduling programs with certain churches and things like that, but I don't know all of that off the top of my head.
If this problem is gonna go away after you get the 60 beds, I'd understand that. But I don't think this problem is gonna go away. This is the new California, the new America, unfortunately, and we need to think long-term. Other countries have public facilities where people can still be people, because sanitation is a health issue, and what are we telling these people?
I'll just tell you from my personal experience, in my budget in Peralta, we spent over $300,000 on bathrooms. Every single one was burnt to the ground. That's just something I dealt with personally.
Law
Yeah.
enforcement, I know you've seen the worst in
Yeah.
people. Are all of these homeless
Yeah.
all drug addicts?
Absolutely not. No, and again, I don't want to categorize people. Everybody has a different story, right? We're the sums of our life up until today, and so I never want to categorize anybody. But I just, again, my focus is to create that. If you want help, if you're able to receive help, we want to help you. But if your method is, I like the streets, I'm staying on the streets, I want to keep victimizing people, that I won't tolerate that. And so again, that's kind of where my line is. So, yes. No, that's okay. I need my steps.
The question I have for you is that how are you going to be engaging the community by the information you're providing us right now? Even if you provide a fact sheet of where we could find the information, who's the staff, what the classifications are, and we understand what their roles are, because also as a public health issue and private property issue, if they need to sign a form for the officer, we need to know that. And we need to know what the stats look like, because I believe most of the calls are coming in the evening. So if what's the strategic plan for the city of Los Banos, also coordinating with the county? Because if we don't have that information, then you're not engaging the residents here that are being impacted. And that's what's making it difficult, is that we don't have nothing hands-on that provides information for the residents, what you need to provide, who you contact, and who's the staff, and what their roles are. Because it's public information anyways, but if you have a homeless team now, it needs to be publicized. We need a pamphlet of them so we know how we can work with them. So we could both be a team working together, and then also have ongoing monthly meetings to give us updates or let you know, hey, you guys are doing a great job, or how can we participate too? We're part of the team, and it's part of our community.
She's making me sweat because she makes sense. No, I'm just kidding. Yes. No, and I'll be honest, that's a great point. And that's, again, a thing for me is communicate, right? We're all on the same team, but we have to, put out the issues. And I know that when it comes to trespassing and things like that, you call any of you call dispatch and our officers show up, they will explain the trespass, portion and things like that.
The fact sheet.
Sure, yeah.
It's very needy. It's needed for both the residents, when our families come, or something, they get scared or they break into the car, but also us knowing who the team is. Oh, hi, so-and-so, she's a coordinator, she does this and that. Oh, we've been seeing that lady over there. No, she's part of the staff.
Well, and too, though, I want to, if your car is broken into, if you're a victim of a crime, I don't want you calling anybody but the PD, right? I don't want you calling our homeless, but I get what you're saying, absolutely. Yeah,
So
no, I get what
if
you're
you
saying.
could please do that.
Yeah.
We're here to work together.
Yeah.
It's our community, it's our small little business district, and we understand they have a need. At the same time, they have to respect the public health for all of us. And our kids, the children that go to the community center, you got the park right there.
Yeah,
I don't want nothing to happen to my niece or nephew.
right. Yeah, no, I agree,
I don't want nothing
100%.
to happen because it's the park
Yeah,
and it's
Yeah.
next to the center.
yeah.
Okay, so, thank you. My question is, So I have called Christy McMahon, which she's the homeless manager, right? Okay, so can you please explain their roles? What is there? What are they supposed to do? Because when I called, this is what I got. I called to talk to McMahon about what was going on in front of my house. And, you know, because I have several encampments in front of my house. Anyways, and this is what I got, okay? Well, you know, we just fill these 2 positions. There's really not much that we can do. We're trying to work with the homeless, okay? And so basically that's what I got, no matter what questions I asked. So I felt like she was not providing the information. She was not providing, you know, she didn't let me know, okay, well, you know, can we, if it's not just you, but your neighbors, can we, you know, sit down and talk about it, or have a meeting, or nothing? So that's why I'm asking that.
Okay, yeah, no, so I can explain that. And I won't have my back to everybody. So our homeless coordinator and those positions are there to provide dedicated resources to the homeless. Okay, and so if you call and say, I have 10 homeless people in my front yard, I'll be honest, she doesn't want to talk to you. She wants to talk to the 10 homeless people in your front yard and say, can I help you get a driver's license? Can I help you get a social security card? Can I help reunite you with family? Are there any VA benefits I can get you? Are there any vouchers available for us right now for hotels and motels? She's coordinating those types of resources. The other thing that team does is grants, constantly searching, researching, and applying for grant funding, right? Because that's, again, a big part of it is we're gonna need money to take this on. And again, not that throwing money at a problem is gonna fix it. Trust me, I've worked in the Bay Area long enough to know that's not true. But we have to be strategic about it. And so now that we have dedicated staff, that's what they do, that's their role, right? And so again, if you call and say, hey, I wanna have a meeting with you, I wanna sit down with you, she's gonna say, are you homeless? No, you're not the person I should be talking to then, right? And that's again, just full transparency. Sure.
Normally when you call the police, which I've done.
And she's not part of the police department.
I know.
Yeah.
But when you call the police, basically what they tell you, I'm sorry, we have nothing to do with the homeless, you need to call the city manager while they're breaking the law. So that's why I called McMahon.
Okay.
Because when I called the police, this is what I was told. You know, we don't have anything to do with the homeless, you need to call the city manager now, okay? And I'm like, what if they're breaking the law?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I found out that if they're breaking the law, you call the police, not McMahon. So, you know, that's the other issue, you know, that, you know, like I said at the city hall meeting, you know, it's no longer just a question of homelessness. It's a question now of them breaking the law, which is a separate issue. And because of breaking the law, it's putting our safety, you know, in jeopardy. Our children, our homes.
Right.
You know, I have to put bars on my windows.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm in jail.
And I know because some people kind of frustrated me at the last council meeting because, you know, somebody in the public said, hey, what can we do to help you? And I said, look, I'll just be very honest with you. Stop voting for laws that make felonies misdemeanors, right? Give law enforcement some teeth to do their job. Because again, crimes are crimes. Like, I don't care if you have a roof over your head or not, right? If you commit a crime, you commit a crime. But our law enforcement can only enact what the law says. That's what we're bound by, and so that's the limitation that we face. And again, you know, from a customer service aspect, I mean, that's like the worst thing that I have to tell people, right? But it's just the truth. You know, during my time in law enforcement, if I caught you with a bag of meth in your pocket, we'd start the bidding at 16 months in prison. And if you had priors or I arrested you for possession for sales, we get started at a higher rate. Now, for the most part, it's a citation. That's just the truth, right? I mean, that's where we are. So we're only bound by the laws we can enforce. Yes.
So it seems to me, hearing all this, the taxpayers get to pay a lot more, and chances are not much is going to happen. But I wondered with the little things, if there's a way the city could help us. I'm being fined by Mid-Valley Waste because my green can keeps getting stolen. They give you one freebie, and then the green can after that, you get to pay for it. I'm out of the rules of the city of Los Banos if my property doesn't have a green can. However, it's a business, so we have Ronnie's come and they take the green waste. So now that I've reported the can stolen, they're gonna bring a new green can, and when that one gets stolen, which it will, and our water's stolen, the bill is $100 higher than the base, the business isn't even open anymore. It's because they turn on the sprinklers and they shower in them, and then they leave them on. The business is closed, we don't go there every day. I've called the city sent me to Public Works sent me back to the city. I actually called the police department today, asked if an officer would please come with me behind Save Mart so I could get a green can, because I guarantee there's a whole bunch of them there, and then I can haul a green can back. I'm being fined for the stuff that they're stealing, but there's no consequence to the criminals, so I'm just asking, if I steal your green can, do I get cited? Because they don't, and I am getting cited by Mid-Valley. So if you want the citizens to help you guys out with the homeless problem, maybe talk to in Mid-Valley, I just have to say, not happy. I clean up trash on the canal because it's behind my house, and then my container doesn't go all the way closed, and I got cited for that. We're paying for water, we're paying for green cans. You gotta be a little nicer to the people, to the citizens who are gonna pay for all these facilities that you wanna put in. Stop charging us.
Yeah. So I will tell you, just with Project Home Key, it is not your money. That's why we sought out a $15 million grant, because I didn't want I didn't want the citizens of Los Banos to have an additional thing, right? It's still coming from the state, yeah, absolutely. It's still coming from the state. Sure, right. But it could go to another city. So, I mean, that's just reality of it. It could go to another city. So we're trying to bring it here.
Because there's a lot of people in residential even, that they'll go through their garbage can to get recycled. And then they throw the garbage in the recycle bin, and that homeowner gets cited because there's trash in their recycle. We
Yeah.
cannot sit up all night and make sure that someone's not going through our stuff.
No, I totally hear you. I hear the concern 100%.
That's where we're also at.
Well,
Yeah,
I hear
yeah.
that you hear us, but I do believe that the city of Los Banos is who made a contract with Mid-Valley. And I love our police department, and I think their hands are tied.
Yeah.
But I feel badly, but if they can't protect my property, which they can't.
And so you're talking about the can being put out when it's garbage time?
Oh, yeah, or they'll
Okay.
just walk up onto your property and steal your can.
Okay.
They don't care. They know nothing's gonna happen to them. I get the fine, and they walk away with my can, or whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah. No, and I get it. And
Can you deal with Mid-Valley and tell them to stop fining? Can you please?
I will tell you this, again, it's something to have a conversation about. I can't make any promises to you, but I can at least have a conversation. So yes, and that's the thing too, is I want people to understand is I'm not gonna solve everybody's problems, that's just the honest truth, but I am happy to sit and listen to anybody. And if anybody wants me to communicate something, I will gladly communicate it. Does not mean it's gonna be 100% fixed, and that's just a reality. I mean, I know people right now are frustrated in this room, like, you mean if I have a bag of meth in my pocket, I'm just gonna get a ticket? You live in California, and I can't do anything that's outside of my jurisdiction. But that's just, again, to have a conversation, to talk with our city manager and things like that about Mid-Valley, we can have that conversation, absolutely, yes. And if you could do me a favor, actually, I have about 200 of my business cards. If you could send me your contact information, so I know who to go back to, would be great. Yes, sir.
What percentage of the homeless in Los Banos are veterans?
I don't have that exact number, but I do know that countywide it was less than 50. And I do know that we do have 50.
Individuals or 50%?
50 people.
50 people.
50 people countywide. I do know it was below that number. I don't know specifically what it is in Los Banos. And there are separate resources for veterans. So again, if they were to reach out to our homeless team, there are other resources available to them. Yes, sir.
It's just kind of a dumb question. You can't remove the homeless from the city property. So I bring 250 of my buddies here with motorhomes, and we all park down the rail trail. We're gonna get cited, we're gonna get run out. Why are we different?
Well, if you can't get blood from a turnip, to be completely honest with you, right? If I'm homeless and I have $1 in my pocket and you write me a $100 ticket, am I gonna pay that ticket? No, I'm probably not.
So a motorhome was parked in Walmart for 2 months. Then he moved around the corner. Then he moved down here to the city yard. He's down there for 3 months. Then they moved him to Wilmot. No license plates, no insurance, no anything, and the vehicle's still on the road. I mean,
It's still on the road?
he was over on Wilmot here a week or so ago. They
Okay.
keep moving him around. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know who's moving him, but there's a chain on the front bumper.
Okay.
So shouldn't they impound that vehicle?
Yeah, that would be a police department code enforcement question, but yes, vehicles can be
Police
impounded.
department told me call code enforcement. I
Okay.
called code enforcement, they said, well, we'll get to it.
Okay.
He was there for 3 months at the fairgrounds.
Okay.
They
Well, we
didn't
have
get to it.
we have a police chief and a code enforcement sergeant back here, so later on you can feel free to ask those questions. Yes.
Certainly.
There's somebody else, I'm sorry. Yes.
I work a lot with the homeless at Salvation Army, and we do have a porta potty there. We did that as a public health issue because when they have to go, you gotta go. I have a couple questions. I really question the 78 homeless. Homeless come and go, they're very mobile, they hide, they don't wanna talk to people. The first year I did my homeless grant in 2012 at Salvation Army, I went in to work with 100 people. Within 6 months, I already had 200 homeless people that I had worked with. So I think the numbers are way off. The 78 homeless, have you already started case management on them? As those are the ones you're going to be placing, because we work with a lot of families. There's so many homeless people that come and go and they kind of stay in the shadows. Especially with families, I think the biggest issue, and I think the project Room Keys, they've had it before, they had issues, is there's no affordable housing. Where are families gonna go? Are we gonna be placing a family in the project Room Keys? Because there's a lot more homeless families than we realize.
No, that's a great point. So the case management question, I can answer that one. It's 50 to 75 people a week that our team are talking to. And so whatever that looks like. So in other words, we are reaching out to as many of the homeless as we can, saying, here are the services and resources that are available to you. Now, how many?
Are you keeping track of it?
Yeah, I'm sure they
Who they are?
yes, yeah, they do records management of all that, yes.
Could I share what is?
Absolutely,
Can I stand up?
sure.
My name is Jim Rolnick, and I'm with Merced County Rescue Mission. I'm the homeless court navigator, and we house roughly 300 people a night. And we don't just house them. Mr. Mayor's talked about case management, which is very, very important. What we do is we bring them in, okay, and we have 22 facilities. One of them is a campus, where there's a rescue center with 32 beds. We work with law enforcement, the hospitals, and medical field. And we have another building on the same campus with 10 apartments for homeless VAs, another building with 10 apartments for homeless families, okay? And then we have numerous homes, big homes, with programming, sober living environments, bridge housing. And what it is that we do, I didn't know about this until I came today. I live in Los Banos, so I love Los Banos, but I work in Merced. I came to present this over to the Chamber of Commerce, and when I was almost finished, they dropped a newspaper in front of me and says, "Are you going tonight?" I was going, "Where?" "Here." I knew nothing about it, but I needed to be here. Because what we're doing is we want to work with the citizens of Los Banos and the businesses of Los Banos to be a part of what we're doing. Right now, there's about a little over 800 homeless people, unsheltered, of which almost half are housed. And we have a plan to house the rest of them within 2 to 3 years. So it's a big part of it. And we're not just housing people, we just cannot house them. Merced County Rescue Mission has 80+ employees, staff members. Over 85 to 90% of them have gone through the program or a program. They're very effective and very efficient at what they do because who more than them been there, done that, right? And they understand. But because of it, they're so energetic and passionate about helping people. I work with homeless people all day long, and I love it. I love it. I find people in these facilities that have court cases and fines. And now we have to build a file for them. But they're not just going to skate by. They have to program and do community service, which gets them going in the right direction. So I'm here to ask the City of Los Banos to partner with us to help this homeless situation come to an end. I know it's not going to happen overnight, but you have Merced County Rescue Mission. We have 3 facilities here in this town. We got 4 more communities that are opening up. We just got another house over in Panama. And our desire is to help as many people get off the streets. And once the facilities are built and the beds are there, we can enforce that code of not being able to camp in public property. And if they do, then they get picked up. And the officers say, which facility do you want to go to? We've got a place for you. And if they don't want to go, then there's going to be ramifications. But they have the opportunity. And to come together and to combat this is a worthy cause. And you probably agree with me on that one. So I want to go to the businesses because they are being broken into. They're having people in their parking lots chasing their customers away. So I'm sure that when they hear about this, because I'm just starting now to work with businesses as I find time. I'll do it on the weekend even. I work all day long working with homeless people, getting them in the right direction.
And just to let you know, that's what we wanted to hear. That was a question about how you're going to engage the community. And what you guys are doing now, as you said, that you brought here, you have a lot of residents that want to work together to help them also keep our community safe and our children safe and the infrastructure and our businesses. And that's why I was waiting. Well, there has to be some sort of community engagement because I did it in San Jose for the city. I was in the city manager's office for 22 years there. I come to retire in Santanella, but for me it was like, what's going on over here? Because the funding is there, working through the county, because I was in charge of the 2020 census. So I was aware of the conditions and the whole thing was said. So again, this is what we need as part of the strategic plan for Los Banos, not just your staff, your teams, but also including the community in the dialogue and how to report out and have that information to report in. So there's accountability. We did make the calls, we did submit the form, we did do this with the officer when they did something on my private property. And just that informational fact sheet is gonna help the community and the team be stronger. The team that you're helping with the homeless and the team of the community to keep it safe and clean. And if we need resources, we know who to call that, hey, it's a public health issue, there's a lot of things that they didn't go into the toilet, by the sidewalks or et cetera, for the kids where they're walking from the community center. So it's us working together. And I'm glad you said that because I didn't get that from you earlier.
Well, we also have a navigation center that houses 100 people, but we don't just house people. We work with them with drug and alcohol counseling, with mental issues, with planning, with goal setting, with accountability, with job training, and then on to permanent housing. So we're with them from start to finish. Okay, and we're not going to do it, we're going to work with them toward it. And these people that are on staff, they've been there, they've done that. That's proof in the pudding. And so I'm really excited, and I got the information here. If you want to take this home with you and be a part of what's going on here to tackle this, okay, we do have the opportunity to do this. And other counties are coming to the State County Rescue Mission and asking, these are city officials from other counties, how are you doing this? What are you doing? You're touring the facilities that are amazed at what's happening. So,
You said earlier that there were ramifications if they didn't accept help. Can you clarify that?
No, go for it.
Or expand on that?
You lost.
Hey, information's information. That's the way I look at it.
there's a code in the law that says if they have enough beds, okay, they can enforce that code now. Until then, you can't do it.
What does that
Okay,
mean,
so-
enforce that code? Because
Sure.
We said county.
Yeah, I can answer that.
Okay, so
Yeah,
until you have
yeah. I can answer that.
So
So-
if people walk out, if you have enough beds, let's say Los Banos gets enough beds.
Mhm.
And so finally we can say you are not allowed to be on city property.
Correct.
Like he was saying about the RV, let's say some guy says, no. Are you gonna ticket him? Well, you said you can't get blood out of a turnip. Are you gonna put him in jail? The jail say, we don't have.
So other cities take their property. They take their tents, they take their property. They remove the property from where it is. So if you, in other words, let's say I have 100 beds and I have 80 homeless, and we change the municipal code and say there's now a sit and sleep law. If you sleep on our sidewalk, right, we can cite you or we can arrest you for the misdemeanor section. If you set up a full-blown encampment with all your property and 10 shopping carts and 2 tents, we can take your stuff. And so that's the kind of the ramifications that we're talking about as far as with that. Merced they're still in process of that, and I know they're working on several projects with the city and the county as well. And so again, that's the one thing that just, I want to emphasize, and I'm sorry I didn't kind of communicate, I should have had him start, is the fact that our job is to partner with as many organizations as possible. This isn't just, the city of Los Banos dealing with it, everybody's dealing with this, right? And so as many partnerships as we create, starting with, the $15 million grant and taking over the hotel and turning it into that. There's going to be many partnerships throughout the county with this as far as what we're doing and what we're working on. Yes?
If they go into the home where you're at, they don't have to stay. If I walked into your house and got shelter, I don't have to stay there. I can walk out.
Well, you know something, these houses are filled, and there's a waiting list.
Right.
So if they leave, they lose their bed.
But you don't, what I'm trying to get at is that if I'm homeless and I go in and I do get a bed, I'm not mandated to stay, I don't have to stay unless, okay.
But there's management there,
Because I know some of them that have gone in there and have
right,
just
okay,
walked
we
right
have
up.
a manager there now, as of this week, that really knows how to keep the condition for a long time. It was actually in the original mission on Canal, which has been torn down a long time ago. This guy is all about helping people, and he knows his stuff. Okay, and so he really encourages people. He's the ultimate mentor for homelessness, for a homeless person. Because, I'm working with a lot of people, and I'm telling them, I said, you know something, you guys, it doesn't matter about your past. Your past is in the past. What's important is your future. Okay, when I talked to Judge Lowe for the first time, he's the presiding judge over the homeless court. I said, Your Honor, I'm not here just to help people reduce their fines or reduce their charges. I'm here to encourage them now to make good choices from here on out. And I spent a lot of time doing that. Because what's behind you is behind you. What's important is your choices you're going to make in the future. Case in point, you make good choices for the next 5 years. In 5 years, you're going to be in a good place. And I drive that home. And there's times I feel like I need to go see somebody, and I don't have an appointment. I just go pick that person up and take them for a ride and ask them, how you doing? How you doing? Last week, our first graduation of a home court, we graduated 10. I've just been with the company doing this for the last several months, and for 2 years, they graduated 2. Things are happening. And people that are homeless really want a better life. A lot of them don't know it, but a lot of them have the opportunity. They're going to take it, and they are. And because of it, doesn't mean people follow them. Because if they can be successful, then someone else can be successful. The proof is in the pudding. I've done a lot of prison ministry over the years, and I've worked with a lot of guys. And the people coming out of prison want to see those people that came out of prison that succeeded. They're the ones that can be used. The same with homelessness. And our prison system creates 50% of our homelessness. It's in every community. We have a job to do. And Merced Mission, their faculty and their staff member are very zealous about what they do. It's not a job to them. They just want to help people. And it's happening. So I just encourage you, be a part of what's going on.
And again, to just emphasize, so with the Merced County Rescue, because that's not a county agency, correct?
I'm sorry?
It's not a county agency. That's the name of the organization.
Merced County Rescue Mission, well, we're countywide.
Right. Yeah, because I think there's sometimes there's some confusion that it's a county entity rather than the organization. So, and that's the thing I want people to understand here is, with us having 2 staff for the homeless, right? With us applying for the grant, we're in this starting point. We're in the starting point of creating the resources that we have, but we have a long way to go before it's going to turn into that.
And we want to work with you.
Right.
Because of the case management, we call them service coordinators, we want to work with the hotel. We want to work in the hotel.
Yeah.
Because we have the experience to do this kind of stuff.
Right.
And so we're excited about what's happening over here.
Yeah.
We have 20 units opening up, I think, end of R and Childs for homeless veterans, and they're the custom containers, but there's going to be case management that where people just can't come in and just get a place to live. No. And they have to go to behavioral health, they have to attend an NA or AA or, some recovery. It's going to be mandatory. I mean, we want people to get better. We don't just want to house people. We want them to get better, and we're there with them.
And I think that's the key too, is that, again, it's got to be a fork in the road. You got to make a decision at some point, right? Am I going to keep living on the streets and, my life as difficult as possible, or am I going to make a decision? And that's what our city's trying to create, is we need to create that fork in the road. And so again, it started today with that grant. So, yes, sir.
Question, did I hear you earlier say that you discourage people giving the homeless tents, blankets, sleeping bags, so on and so forth?
So, and here's why I discourage that. If a church or an organization or even our city department has those resources and says, hey, I can give you a voucher for a hotel tonight, right? I can give you, clothes if you need clothes, things like that. That means people are coming to the resource, right? They're coming to get help, and there are other things that now we can start that partnership, start those relationships. If people just show up with a box to an encampment and say, here you go, and leave, there's no motivation for them to seek out resources, because now people are delivering random resources to them. And I know Sergeant Mendez can to attest to how much of that just turns into trash that is later thrown away or just discarded somewhere. So we have to, and again, that's going to start with me, is I want to meet with church community members and community leaders and say, can we come up with a plan together and say, all right, what do resources look like, right? I don't want anybody freezing outside. I don't want anybody to go hungry. But there's a strategic way we can do that, because we want these people to come to us and say, hey, I need help. I need resources, rather than somebody just bringing them food every single day. And then again, there's no motivation for them to change. Does that answer your question?
I think it's a double-edged sword, but yeah.
Oh, it is, for sure.
Because if you don't give them those resources, those blankets and what have you, tents, they're going to steal them. And who here hasn't heard a story?
And they are now.
And throughout our community,
Yeah.
of the homeless going in and
Yeah.
helping themselves to whatever they need and just walk out the door, or
Yeah.
Walmart's not going to stop them.
Yeah.
Safemart's not going to stop them. They go in and they steal. So that's,
Yeah. And national chains that are in California are all changing their policies because of that, right? You can't buy frozen food anymore from CVS or Walgreens in San Francisco because it's chained up. So again, we're seeing that, statewide kind of thing. Because yeah, you're right. People are bringing them stuff and they are stealing stuff now, right? Yes.
First of all,
You're soft spoken, so I'm gonna come over.
Sorry. So the Mission Center, years ago, I had an opportunity when everything was getting started to be able to see that ground up and work with it, with the ground up. Congratulations as you accomplish more goals. We're getting started here. I believe the leadership here is not looking away anymore. They are really going face first into it. Project Room Key closed its doors because of grant funding somewhere in December. And our nonprofit group went ahead and received several grants to be able to clothe individuals, because remember a few months ago, it was freezing cold, and but there was no Project Room Key at the time. Like I said, it just closed its doors for a little bit. So we stepped in there and provided warmth. We were really careful not to give them warmth during the pouring rain, because we knew that it would be garbage once it gets wet. But the reason why I'm also standing up is that there is, as the city progresses, I do want to again emphasize, there is a really wonderful app that Cincinnati, Ohio has, and it's called Street Reach. And when you're talking about community people engaging homeless, what this app does, and you could download, you could get it, it doesn't cost anything, so you could experiment on how it looks like currently right now. But it has a really wonderful way of being able to report when you see someone homeless. It also, of course it's going to be down the road when we have enough staffing and everything, but you just click on it, report the location of the person that needs help. You can also click on it and someone that's about to, about to lose their home, that they need some help, they're on the bridge of becoming homeless, you can click on that. And so they give you ideas about how citizens can help their city on achieving goals for homeless. So once again, it's Cincinnati, Ohio. It's called Street Reach. Just go ahead and take a look at it, and then that way we'll be ready when as we progress in the future. Thank you, sir. Oh, and one last thing. You gave the microphone. One last gorgeous thing is that, sir, the mayor just 7 days ago, including the weekend, felt that he wanted a forum to talk to all of us. So it happened pretty quick. And it was advertised really quick. And so thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. All right, so we have about a half hour left, and here's kind of what I wanted to do in this last half hour. Rather than having a microphone stuck in your face and walk around, I wanted to just give the opportunity for us just to collaborate, again, share information, share whatever it is, you know, talk to each other, talk to me, talk to whoever you want. I won't put our police staff in the spotlight that are in the back there. But again, just open dialogue, open conversation. Oop, I just killed it. Yeah, right? No kidding. Man, that was good timing. Again, and there's information in the back table. My business card is in the back table. People can email me. I'm pretty active on social media. I spend about an hour a night looking over things like Nextdoor and Facebook, and I try to answer as many questions. And again, I'm not going to have all the answers. That's just the reality of it. However, you know, I'm willing to talk to anybody about anything and anything that I can do to help fight for our city. Councilmember Lewis.
Thank you. I just wanted to address the issue about the trash cans. I woke up one morning and my trash can was missing. And I have a small one, just for the regular trash, so I thought it had been stolen. I drove around the neighborhood trying to find it, and I couldn't find it. And this was a freak thing. When they picked it up, they threw the trash can in the hopper, so I lost it. But every trash can is assigned to your address. So that's how they know. It has a microchip in it, and it has a number on it. So the trash company knows where that trash can is and what resident it's assigned to. Now, this is just my opinion. If we know, if the city knows or the company knows where all these cans are, we should go round them up and bring them back to the residents who own them, because they're paying for them. And they shouldn't have to pay again for another trash can to be delivered. The only reason I didn't have to pay for another one is because they threw it in the truck. So I got another trash can to replace it. But each one of those trash cans, if they go out there and scan that microchip in that can, they'll know exactly what resident it came from. And I think we as a city should be working with Mid-Valley to retrieve those cans and bring them back to the residents, or if they charge them for those cans, refund them back the money that they charged them to get a new one.
So when I called the police department, they sent me to code enforcement, and at some point, I think I spoke to Officer Mendez. Very, very nice, and it might have been before him, but I was told that when the police department calls Mid-Valley, they say, okay, you have Chewy Menifee, what's your can number? They never get back to them. So Officer Mendez said, though, that he is going to work really hard tomorrow to figure out what my number on my can is, and then drive around the encampments and see if he can find my can. I think that is a huge waste of our resources in our town when we've got people shooting each other. So honestly, I think every Save Mart card, every Target card, every trash can that is obviously stolen property should be rounded up with no questions asked. But I've been told that that's against the law. I don't know if that's true or not. Is it against the law to take that stuff back from them? And why not? Why isn't Save Mart getting the delivery of their carts back? And why are they having to buy new carts? Why am I having to pay for cans? And Mid-Valley, I really hope that you talk to Mid-Valley. I think Mid-Valley is not being helpful here. And
Well, those are both great questions, because my understanding, and this is how it used to be, I don't know how it is now, but the retail stores actually had staff that would start a shift by searching for carts and bring them back to the stores wherever they were in the city. So I don't know if that doesn't happen anymore.
But it's not safe to go down those places and pick up those carts from the homeless, because I've even had Ronnie come in and tell me they've been threatened when they're trimming the trees. So why would a St. Mart employee go down into the homeless campment and be threatened? We need the city to go down there.
Yeah, and I was
Because it
told
would-
that the
for
police
that
can't go
protective.
with me down there because it's not legal for me to go down there and take my can back, so they can't witness it, because then I'm committing a crime. Why is it illegal to take this? I mean, it's Mark Save Mark.
They don't pay for trash. You
I
know
mean,
that.
100%, none of those homeless people is paying for trash.
In
So
this
those
day and
cans don't
time,
belong to them.
most retail grocery stores get X amount of dollars per year to buy new cars. So they just consider it a wash, because, you know, those carts aren't sanitary anymore, and we do have a system in Los Banos where they sanitize their carts for their regular use of customers. But I don't think any city does that. In San Jose, when they find carts that are left out in the open, they just take them and crush them and they get thrown away. So, but the trash cans to me is a different thing, because that's quite costly to the company as well as to our customers. So I'm hoping that the city can work out a process whereby maybe the two companies can work with the Mid-Valley can work with our city to go and retrieve those cans and clean them up and bring them back.
I have something to say, and I'm really sorry to interrupt. I got here late because I didn't have my car. First of all, it's very dangerous to go on that rail trail. I wouldn't recommend it. I went back there myself.
No, I didn't say it.
Oh, no, I know that, but I'm just telling you that is not a good idea. Those people a lot of them are very, I don't wanna say violent, but they're very aggressive, and they do not want anybody back there. As far as they're concerned, that's their territory, and they want you out. So I would not go back there. They're not in the right mind anyhow. Secondly, I have a quick question. Is Christina here? I keep calling her Christina, the gal that's in charge of the homeless.
No.
Oh, okay, because her and I talked, she called me a few times, and she did say that she has put in for a grant, for a $10 million grant, and that they were gonna bring in, she was talking to a gentleman who had a piece of land over by Granville, and that's what she says they're gonna put them, and she said there's a big wall that's gonna go up, that's what's in her plan.
15 million, and yes, it's off the chain.
Oh, 15 million, okay.
Yes,
She
we
said
talked
that-
about it earlier, yes.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure, I think that she would really be a good, person to, because she seems to have a lot of knowledge, and she explained a lot of things to me, so I know she talked about those storage things or whatever, and getting, medical, like a tent, or I'm not sure, so they can get medical.
Yeah, and basically what it is we're in the grant was submitted today, the application was submitted today. So we're in the initial process of attempting to obtain those funds to then do the renovation to the hotel. And so that's the phase we're in. Yes, so we actually have our Community and Economic Development Director actually has a whole thing. We did a council presentation I know is available to the public on what the design will look like and in other words, what the end product of the facility is going to look like. We do.
Do we have a say as far as,
For that to even come to fruition.
I'm sorry, what? I have two people talking at the same
That's
time.
the proposal, but it can't go into fruition unless you get the grant, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
so,
Yes.
all right.
Yep. Money first, then the place. Yes.
We have a say as far as the location, because we're saying Rancho, we're at the Rancho, moving cars, so.
It's in the 2000 block of East Pacheco. 2000 block of
so
East
it's
Pacheco.
the, it's the Plaza Hotel, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have no say, because we got rid of them from, the other side of our fence, and now they're coming.
So the grant will not cover build up from scratch. That's one of the things with the grant. It's taking existing facility, existing property, and then build to spec.
Now,
So if we did it built from scratch, we'd have to do a whole completely different process, and I don't even know what the dollar amount could be for something like that. Yes.
So will there be in-housing, staff?
Yes.
At all times?
On-site case management.
At night, so they.
Yes, on-site case management, yes. That's one of the
And
stipulations.
what's the ratio to that? What's the ratio of?
I don't know, we gotta build it first, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, we gotta build it first. So, first we gotta get the money, then we gotta build it, yes. Yes, but we will definitely be consulting with the Merced County Rescue Mission and other agencies.
That we can look at, that
what
Yes,
you did?
we had information that was submitted to council, and it's public record. We can share it with you.
Okay.
On the design. All right, everybody. Again, thank you for coming. Last two, Mr. Wilson. Yes. Sorry, I don't have a mic to give you. Yeah.
And how many of you here work with the homeless on a daily basis? One or two. But everybody has an opinion how to fix the problem. But see, the problem is that the core problem, in my opinion, of the homeless has to do with, and this is only because I've talked to the last 3-4 days, I have talked to these homeless people that come up to the Salvation Army who ask for food or ask for whatever services. The number one problem is drugs. According to the majority of these people that I talk to, 75 to 80% of the people that are homeless here in town, on the trails, wherever, is drugs. They're empty.
Is what?
They got a serious drug problem. So there is one problem. So why don't we have resources dealing with drug abuse? Why don't we have resources from the state or the county on how to deal with people who have drug problems? It's a difficult road. It's an extremely difficult road to get people off of drugs. Rehab, average person, 6 times in a rehab center before they stop using drugs. The other problem that we have is a mental illness.
Yes.
The mental illness, and people, you know, I mean, they don't understand that they have these mental problems. They don't take their medications. They won't go to counseling. They won't go to the psychiatrist or psychologist because those services are not available in this county. So you can identify 2 of the major problems of our homeless issues, either drug use or mental issues. And no one's addressing those 2 big problems tonight that I have seen or heard. So why aren't we looking at other ways of helping these people through drug rehabilitation or finding counselors to deal with the mental issues? Now, you can't make people take medications. It's an ongoing process. There's a lot of people, and I know several people here in town, they should be taking their medication, but they don't. They're bipolar. 1 minute they're really great and they're walking with you and they're talking with you, and first thing you know, they go off. These 2 ladies here work with these homeless people 5 days a week, 4 to 5 hours a day. But no one is addressing the bigger issue, I think. We all got problems. Yeah, they're gonna steal and they take trash cans and the other things that have been brought up. I think we need to look at the core problem, why these people are homeless. You can't help somebody unless you know what the problem is. And each individual is different. But we need to start addressing the issue about the drug use and the mental illness by bringing in the counselors to help both.
Where are you gonna get counselors in this
You know something?
county?
If I had the answer to that, I wouldn't be here.
'Cause you're not gonna get it through Merced Mental Health.
There's a mental health court, okay?
Yes, there
Judge
is.
Lowe sits over.
Yes, there is.
And I was in this court last week, and it's packed with people that have mental issues that have to go through programming and come and report their moving forward.
Judge Moore, okay, where?
It's called care court.
In Merced Court.
Yeah, it's a Merced court. It's behavioral health.
Everything is in Merced,
Right.
nothing's in Los Banos, or I mean.
That's not gonna do us a whole
So
hell of a lot.
these people aren't gonna
Is
go.
you guys in Merced?
Well, it's a good place to
They're
start,
gonna go to Merced.
because what I do, people from out of the county ask me, can you help me out of Merced County? I can't. However, I called Madera asking them today if they have a homeless court over there, they said they don't. So now my next move is to call John, who was the deputy director of homelessness, asking him, can we expand this? You have to start someplace. You have to
So,
start someplace.
State Assembly member, he's going to be moving to County Board of Supervisor. Jim Patterson out of Fresno is working on legislation to repeal Prop 47. And to me, that would be a huge component.
What is Prop 47?
So Prop 47 made drugs misdemeanors, right?
Okay.
It also took away proposition state drug court. And so I've talked to Jim and some other legislators. Is that, to me, I mean, if you're going to do it, you know, do it big, do it right. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
The one thing I want to emphasize here is law enforcement, they cannot solve the problem. God bless them. I love them. Some of them I've known since they were kids. But you can't always rely on the police officers to go out there and to solve all of these problems. It's a community problem. And until we get more community people involved, decision makers, to start making up some plans on how to fix this problem, it's not going to get any better.
No, I agree. And again, we're not going to solve everything tonight, but I want people to understand at least this is a platform. This is something that we can do. We can talk about it. We can throw ideas, you know, and see what we can do, see what we can work with. So.
And I, for one, am very interested
Oh, okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I'll stick around for a few minutes. Please take my business card. It's on the back table. I will be honest with you. If you leave me a voicemail at the city, it will be 5 days before I get back to you because I'm not there all the time. You're better off shooting me an email if you really need to get a hold of me. If not, I'm on social media. So thank you for coming. Good night.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I was really impressed.
Oh, thank you.
The comment I made about their said mental health,
Mm-hmm.
they're absolutely useless. I don't see, I'm assuming they're not helping you at all.
Well, we're reaching out to as many people, but the starting thing for us is I always want to know, like, what does each resource do, right? Like, what do you do in your job? What do you do in your job? And so getting those things, because we've found programs where the funding ended. We found a program where, like, I'll give you an example, VASH vouchers. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No.
So it's a voucher for homeless assistance programs, right? There are no staff to send the vouchers to cities to do it because they don't have enough people to do the job to help homeless veterans. And so I'm like, wasn't that redundant? You have homeless veterans seeking work and you don't have enough people to fill the positions.
Well, yeah. But
So, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they said mental health, because I have PTSD from my little southeast region of vacation back in the 60s. And I moved up here from LA.
Thanks to
Oh,
you.
yeah. No, thank you for coming.
You gave us, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
When you told us we've got to stop voting for people that repeal the laws that keep the police from being able to do their job.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that is 90% of everything that,
Yeah.
the problems that you hear here.
Yeah.
You could go and
There are, I'll be honest, there are things that can be fixed in a ballot box.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
thank you, sir.
Yes, sure.
So the 15 million,
Mhm.
does that include mental health? Or
So
that
that
just the structure?
that is the facility itself, and then our city staff is going to be responsible for the case management. So it's all one package. So it's the people there, and then the building, and so that's the kind of the starting point. And it's an organization. So it's an organization that's going to manage the day-to-day operations
The
of it.
grant that you applied for doesn't mean it already.
It doesn't mean we're guaranteed to get it, anything like that. Other cities have applied for it, but we're just fighting to bring it here. And so that's what we're trying to do is bring it here. So yeah.
Anybody we can write?
So we had the senator's office here today, actually driving around town with our city manager. And so, yes. I don't know now that it's been submitted. I mean, it can't hurt. It definitely can't hurt. So, and I'm willing to advocate with anybody. So, yeah. But, yep. Hey, how are you? How's it going?
Good. I thought I'd save you from everybody.
Oh.
But, cool.
Yeah. No, thanks for coming. Yeah.
She was gonna ask you
Yeah.
about it.
How do you hide from kids? How do you?
Oh, my mom.
Oh, there you
In the
go.
car with the water bottles.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yes.
Where'd you find your Stanley? Because I can't find them anywhere.
So my wife is the Stanley expert.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Yeah. I just stole one from the house and we put our company sticker on it. So yes. Hey, how are you? Good.
I have a question. It's related but not related.
Okay.
So you're going to establish this hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So have you thought about addressing? Because I'm sure there's going to be some NIMBY issues.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to address that? Because that's going to be.
So what the RFP went out for the hotel is they're going to convert it into single units. So it's not going to be like, I guess, hotel living to the sense it'll be like, individual units. the company that does it does these all over. And so that was the thing, is addressing different issues. Hey, how are you going to handle, I mean, there were a lot of different things. Like, my question was, okay, you have a single person who comes in versus a family versus, how are you going to make that separation designation? They have an entire plan for it.
Yeah,
and so,
I'm talking about the NIMBY,
my
backyard.
Yeah, right,
so,
right. Right, yeah.
Surrounding area.
Yeah, well, and
have you thought about addressing that? Or how you're going to address that?
Yeah, and the issue was, we looked at several properties in town. The only two places that were basically large enough, one had nothing on it, which is right by the police department, and that was choice number one for me. I was like, put it right there. I know it'll be supervised, right? Yeah. Then part of the state's process was, it has to be existing. You can't build from the ground up. So then now that limited us to just that hotel. So, because I'll be honest, I was not a fan of the hotel idea at all. I wanted it to be a shelter.
Which
It's
hotel? Red Roof or whatever it is?
Yes, yeah. It's where Room Key was. So it's where Project Room Key was, and the calls for service that we compared for law enforcement from when it was Room Key to when, night and day, the calls for service that we had there.
People from behind Sean.
I know. Yes, yeah. But the calls for service when it was Room Key were drastically lower because we had people there, we had management, and so And again, nothing's perfect, right?
No, I know that. But I'm just thinking ahead.
For sure.
There's going to be some back issues. People attacking.
No. And that's the thing too, is I'm a firm believer of every good strategic plan needs to be revisited, right? You can't just hold on to it. It's got to go in and go, okay, what did this look like for 2 years? Like, okay, what do we need to change over the next 5 years? And that's the other thing too, is part of this grant, it's a 55-year deed process. So we're committed to this for 55 years.
That's good.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, it's the longevity of it, right? And so, yes. 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 Yeah. And you bring up fantastic points, by the way. So anytime I start sweating, that's a good thing. So yes. Yeah.
So we had a nice group, actually a lot of the residents were key leaders in the group that been addressing the issue and trying to learn how to work within the city council guidelines and reporting. And I think it was a detachment of not good communication or follow-up or being told we can't do anything. Well, no. What can be done is it posting, is it no overnight camping, is it the lighting, etc. And so it was good that there needs to be a community engagement aspect to it. Though. If you just had the enforcement and your staff couldn't even get, when they were talking to residents, they couldn't even get that information correct. That's telling you something.
Well, and that, it raises a lot of questions for me of how are we communicating just in general from the city standpoint, right? Like our website, like I'm a firm believer of just redo that thing all over again. So like just start from scratch, right?
Please do.
So the first thing that I had our city manager do, and you guys will see it on your water bills now, is there's a QR code. Okay. So you can take your phone out, open your camera, and it takes you to a link of our website of current projects.
So much easier.
Yeah, so you can just look what we're doing and see what projects we're working on, and it'll take you right. So that's kind of a starting point for us. But yeah, we need to revamp our whole communication aspect for sure.
And part of your with your homeless component, by having that community engagement aspect, is that you're meeting with residents or leaders from the area to get updates or let you know, hey, this is actually working real well. Whatever it is that you're doing, keep going. Because if you don't get feedback from the actual community,
right? Yeah. What good is it?
How you're impacting
right. Yeah. Is it working or not?
Public safety and the health conditions for your neighbors.
Right. Yeah. No. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So grab one of my cards and send me an email, so we can talk more. Yes. Well, I think I need to ask the questions are, what are our policies with lost versus stolen, right? Or what's the policy on, because again, I think when you, and I'm just sharing my opinion, if you lock your garbage behind your house, that sort of thing, then it's yours. Once it hits the street and you're waiting for the garbage can to pick it up, I don't agree that you should be the one that has liability.
We never put the green can out. We don't have green waste. It's a business. Ronnie takes it.
Right.
It's a bigger issue than the green can. I can pay for the green can. It's that there's rules for me.
Right.
And then there's rules for them.
Yeah. Well, there's lack of rules. Yeah. Well, there's
discrimination. And pretty soon you're going to have a group of citizens say, I'm sick and tired of the discrimination. They're going to sue the city. So you might
Well, but the
make sure-
city doesn't make the laws. That's what people need to understand. I don't make the petty theft laws,
Yeah, but if
right?
there's a law
Mhm.
that stealing gets cited,
Right.
and I get cited,
Mhm.
then Joe, who's homeless, needs
Oh,
to-
absolutely. Everybody should be cited. But I don't want people to have the misconception that he's not going to have 35 tickets in his pocket. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think everybody should be treated the same no matter what, is going to happen to him. Where I am bound is I want to see people have equal consequences, right? And that's the problem is if you're going to get a cite and you got to go to the bank, pay money, so should they, right? But if the guy's got 35 tickets in his pocket and he steals the can tomorrow, right? Exactly. Right. Yeah. And that's a state issue that, you know what I mean? That's not something we can solve.
I want to thank you for this meeting.
Yeah.
We definitely need another one.
Nope, I agree. Yes.
Okay, there's
Yes.
too many questions.
Yeah. Well, and I think too is what I'd like to do is have meetings with updates for people.
Yes.
Right? Like create some timelines and say, hey, where are we at 3 months or 6 months or 9 months? And and the other thing too is I don't want to just do it for the homeless. Like we got a lot of issues, right? And so there's other things we can discuss.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to say this for you to think about for the next meeting. So I know I want to help. I want to do whatever I can, not only as a resident, but maybe we can get our nonprofit also involved because we came, it was here in Los Banos, but now my daughter's in Stockton. But anyways, that yes, it's awesome. We need to help. We need to see ways how we can help and be proactive and so on and so forth. But another thing, and I think this is where a lot of the frustration is coming from the people that are being impacted personally, okay? Which now I understand. Now I understand why people get so pissed, okay? But it is this. What about our rights?
No, for sure. Yeah.
What about our rights?
Right.
Okay. Because it just seems that it's all their rights, and
Well, and that's the thing. And I was just telling somebody else. It's what's frustrating for me is, and especially coming from law enforcement, is as law enforcement, I like to be a problem solver. So you call me and say I'm a victim of a crime. Here's who did it. I want to hold that person accountable, right? We have some laws in place that don't do that, right? And again, that's way bigger than Los Banos. That's a whole state issue. And we have people who are now, they know that and they're taking advantage of it. And that's just what it is, right?
I wanted to clarify something you said at the last council meeting. And I know you meant well. And sometimes I'm just too bold for my own good, and I don't mean to be. I'm just a straight shooter, I have family in law enforcement, including a son-in-law who's currently a Fresno sheriff, and my cousin retired as a captain for the Santa Clara County Sheriffs, and then my husband has family. So I can tell you that we did not vote for that stupid thing, because
Well, the majority of Californians did.
Well, a lot of them are liberal. I'm not. I'm a conservative. But my point is that there's a lot of us, especially because we keep our loved ones that are in law enforcement in prayer, and we support them. So I've heard a lot of horror stories, and it's horrible when they're still writing the report and the person they just arrested is already walking out. So we know that. So I just wanted to make sure you didn't think I was
No.
in favor of that.
No.
And
But
most of us
I think
aren't.
sometimes people just need clarification in some of the laws, right? Because there's what it used to be, right? And there's what it is right now, And again, I'm not a doom and gloom person. I'm not saying that, because of this law, our hands are tied. It's just, we now have extra things in our way that I don't think we needed in our way, right? And the same thing with mental health, like our drug court. I had so many people that I have arrested personally that contacted me later on. They're like, yeah, I got my act together because somebody said, look, you're going to sit in jail until you're dry and then go to get services.
And I think you have enough people here that have had issues with people that are drugs and are on drugs or are in the situation that they're in, because a lot of those people that are homeless have been kicked out because those people, their loved ones don't want to enable them.
Yeah, they've had enough. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's where they are. And so honestly, to me, you either get to rehab, you get into a mental institution, or you go to jail. Those are your three options, because the majority of people, like you said, you're doing them a favor because they're forced to address the issue.
Right.
I mean, I don't mind helping someone out, but
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too is, again, I don't want to put everybody in the same vacuum, right? If somebody's like, hey, I was impacted by COVID, I lost my job, I'm this and that, please contact us. We will do everything we can to help you, right? You're seeking out help. it's unfortunately that's a small percentage, right, of what the issue is,
Well, and I think
right?
with COVID, too, a lot of people have just completely taken advantage of
Oh, yeah.
the whole thing.
Of the
So
laws that
you're already dealing
Yeah.
with that. But
Yeah.
no, thank you so much. I
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was very impressed with the turnout. I'm glad at the the number of people that showed up. They had fantastic questions, and I love the information they give me because again, my job is to I'm supposed to be a sponge and learn from people as well. And so I'm really thankful that there were people to provide information. I will do this as often as it's needed, where we can provide updates to the citizens. But I have a lot to go back to now to City Hall with, and I have a lot of work to do. So, starting tomorrow. So.